The thing nobody mentions. Ciara was at a friend's birthday thing, half listening to a conversation near the drink table, when someone mentioned knowing Nick back when he was still married. She almost let it pass. Almost. "Wait," she said, trying to keep her voice light. "Married?" "Oh, yeah. A few years ago. Didn't last that long. Why, you know him?" "Kind of," Ciara said, and took a sip of her drink so she wouldn't have to say anything else right away. The rest of the party happened around her like background noise. She laughed when she was supposed to laugh, she said goodbye when it was time to say goodbye. But the whole drive home, one sentence kept looping. He was married, and he never thought to tell me that himself. It wasn't that the divorce itself scared her. People got divorced, people had pasts, she knew that. It was the gap, the space where he could have told her and chose not to. The quiet calculation of what you decide is worth mentioning and what you decide isn't. She thought about her mother in the kitchen a few weeks ago. Some of this isn't even mine, she'd told herself then, about the bracing, the fear of getting comfortable. But this felt different. This felt like maybe the bracing wasn't only inherited. Maybe some of it was just instinct working exactly the way it was supposed to. She sat in her car outside her apartment for a long time before going in, engine off, hands still on the wheel. She didn't know if this was nothing or everything. She didn't know if he'd been protecting himself or protecting her, or just hadn't gotten around to it yet. She just knew that for the first time since things with Nick had started feeling easy, they didn't feel easy anymore.
Saying it before he asked. Jazz had spent the last few weeks noticing herself catch the joke before it left her mouth. Twice she'd let Justin see a real answer instead of a deflection. Both times the world hadn't ended. Tonight, on his couch, with a movie neither of them was watching, she did something new. She didn't wait for him to ask. "Can I tell you something?" she said. "And you don't have to do anything about it, I just want to say it." Justin turned the volume down without making it a moment. "Yeah, of course. My dad left when I was 9. She said it plainly, the way you'd report a fact about the weather, even though her chest felt tight saying it. He didn't fight, didn't really explain it, just packed some stuff and that was sort of it. My mum cried for a long time, and I learned pretty quick that if I was the easy kid, the funny kid, nobody had one more reason to leave." Justin didn't interrupt. He didn't reach for advice or try to fix the sentence with something comforting and quick. "I think I've been auditioning for people to stay ever since," Jazz said, and laughed a little, out of habit, before catching herself. "Sorry, old reflex." "Don't apologize. Not for that." He didn't say anything else for a second. He just reached over and took her hand. Simple, no big gesture attached to it, like it was the most obvious response in the world. Jazz looked down at their hands together and felt something settle that had been unsettled for a long time. "I'm not trying to audition right now," she said quietly. "I just wanted you to know that part." "I know. I'm not going anywhere because you told me that. I'm here regardless." It wasn't a grand declaration. It wasn't a promise dressed up as one. It was just two people on a couch, a movie murmuring in the background, and Jazz finally letting someone hold a piece of her story without turning it into a bit first.
Choosing real. Ava had rehearsed this conversation in her head a dozen different ways, and every version was messier than the one that actually happened. "I don't think this is what I need anymore," she told Aiden, sitting across from him at the bar where they'd had some of their best nights. "It's not about anything you did wrong. I think I just wanted it to be more than it actually was." Aiden took it better than she expected, a little surprised, a little disappointed, but not blindsided. "Yeah," he said after a moment, "I think I knew that, actually. You've seemed somewhere else for a while." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It was fun while it was fun," he smiled, a little sad but genuine. "I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for." She left without the dramatic exit she'd half expected from herself. Just a hug, a quiet take care, and the strange lightness of a thing finally being what it actually was instead of what she'd been hoping to talk herself into. That evening, alone in her apartment, she thought about what she'd told herself back in episode 8, safe versus good, and how the real question had never really been about Aiden or Quarry at all. It had been about whether she trusted her own judgment enough to choose something real, even when it wasn't the most exciting option in the room. She picked up her phone and texted Quarry. No overthinking this time, no draft and delete. "Are you free this weekend? I'd like to actually plan something if you're open to it." The reply came faster than she expected. "I'd really like that." She set the phone down and let herself smile at the ceiling for a second, unguarded, nobody around to perform calm for. It wasn't fireworks. It didn't need to be. It just felt like the first decision in a long time that she'd made all the way from herself, instead of the part of her that was always managing how things looked. Out loud. Finally. Brianna had been collecting for weeks. Delayed replies. The phone flipped face down without a glance. The half-second pause whenever Brian's name came up. None of it was proof. All of it together had stopped feeling like nothing. She told herself she'd wait until she understood what she was looking at. Tonight, watching Jay push food around his plate without really eating it, she realized she'd understood enough. "Can I ask you something?" she said, "and I need you to actually answer me, not the short version, the real one." Jay looked up. Something in his face shifted, not quite caught but close to it. "Okay." "Is something going on?" she said. "With you, with us. I don't even know exactly what I'm asking, but I know something's been off for a while, and I need you to stop making me feel like I'm imagining it." The room got very quiet. The TV murmured on in the other room, absurdly cheerful against the silence between them. Jay set his fork down slowly, like he needed the extra second before doing anything else. "Brianna." He didn't get any further than that.
Someone finally noticed. Brunch felt almost exactly like it always did. Ciara told an exaggerated version of the birthday party story, leaving out the part about Nick for now. She wasn't ready to say that one out loud yet, not even here. Jazz seemed lighter than usual, catching herself smiling at her phone more than once. Ava ordered with a kind of ease none of them could quite place, though Jazz raised an eyebrow at her over the menu like she suspected something. Brianna laughed in the right places, she asked the right questions, she was, by every visible measure, just Brianna. But Ciara had spent a lot of her life learning to read rooms, learning to notice the half-second gaps other people missed, and somewhere around the second round of coffee, she caught Brianna staring at nothing for a beat too long. While the others were distracted comparing notes on something Jazz had said, Ciara leaned over, voice low, just for the two of them. "Hey," she said, "you've been somewhere else all night. You okay?" Brianna's first instinct was the old one, smile, deflect, say something easy and move on. She felt it rise up automatically, the same reflex she'd used for years. But she caught it, the way she'd been catching everything lately. She almost said it, almost let the whole last few weeks spill out right there over coffee, the noticing, the watching, last night's question that never got finished. Instead, she just held Ciara's gaze for a second. "I will be. I just need a little more time." Ciara didn't push. She just squeezed Brianna's hand once under the table, a small, unspoken "I'm here whenever you're ready," and let the moment fold back into the noise of the table. Brianna looked around at the three of them, Ciara carrying something new and unspoken of her own, Jazz softer than she'd been in years, Ava lighter than she'd looked in months. They were all quietly becoming different people, none of them saying the whole truth yet, all of them a little closer to it than they used to be. She wasn't ready to tell them everything, but for the first time, she knew she would. Just not yet.